Good morning, dear aspirants. Today is 5th January and Monday, beginning of the week. So let me help you finish the newspaper of the day in the shortest time possible. Okay, so let's look at the first page, which is advertisement, but advertisement which is of our use. So what is happening here? Pravasi Bharatiya Divas convention is being held in Bhubaneswar from 8th to 10th January. So when do we celebrate this Pravasi Bharatiya Divas? On 9th January. And why do we celebrate it on 9th January? Most of the old aspirants or matured aspirants know it, but newer people who are starting or have read less must not be knowing this. The flagship event, that is Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, commemorates the return of Mahatma Gandhi from South Africa to India in 1915. Next year it will be 100 years. On 9th January. Right? Indian diaspora, now data is also given which you can use in GS paper 2 about where specifically Indian diaspora is mentioned in the syllabus. Indian diaspora is of 35.4 million, comprising 19.5 million persons of Indian origin and 15.8 million NRIs, right? The nation will laud the contribution and they will be given Pravasi Bharatiya Samman, right? So let's move to the next page. So this Stalin, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has announced a $1 million prize for experts or organizations that will succeed in deciphering the scripts of the Indus Valley civilization for everyone to understand. So this will come under our syllabus of GS paper 1, Art and Culture. Indus Valley civilization has always been UPSC's favorite and the questions have come. Please read it in detail, right? This is again a prelims based information. So you can see this picture where some tribes are celebrating around a temple. Members of the 𝙤𝙤 tribe, T-O-D-A, 𝙤𝙤 tribe in the Nilgiris gather around the Munbo. Munbo means head temple in the 𝐿𝙤𝙤'𝙩 hamlet in 𝐿𝙤𝙤 What is 𝐿𝙤𝙤? Which place is called 𝐿𝙤𝙤? Ooty in Tamil Nadu. Celebrates the Modworth festival and discusses plans of the year ahead. So you have to remember 𝙤𝙤 tribe in Nilgiris, Mumbo is the head, 𝐿𝙤𝙤'𝙩 in Ooty, 𝐿𝙤𝙤 in Tamil Nadu. Let's move to the next topic. This is again important from prelims point of view. Quarantine animals with bird flu symptoms. Center tells states after tiger leopard deaths. So what has happened? 3 tigers and 1 leopard died of H5N1 virus, which is also known as bird flu. We all have heard bird flu. A lot of chickens and poultry farms have been affected in past, but this is first time when tigers and leopard are also being affected, which has happened in an animal rescue center in Nagpur. Avian influenza is crossing the species barrier. That is a new information. Avian influenza has been there. It has been asked in prelims also, right? And some cases in US and Vietnam, avian influenza has been found in cattle, goats, wild species like tigers. So one of the statements can come about the influenza, that whether it is just restricted to birds or it can it can infect other animals or not. So the answer will be right. It does affect other animals. And this is the first time that bird flu has been reported among other animals in India. Right? Let's move to the next topic. Now this article is not important from GS other point of view, but from the society point of view, from GS1 salient features of Indian society, role of women and women organization. It's one of the case studies that you can use in your essay, right? So what has happened in mostly lower class, poor class, a lot of women's life is affected because of the habits of their husbands drinking. They drink a lot of liquor and then they use their family savings and they beat upon their wives, right? So these are issues that women face in the lower section. Such questions are asked in GS paper 1 society, right? So what has happened? In 1993, in this district Gadchiroli, when Maoist insurgency was at its peak, Maoist insurgency in Maharashtra, the tribal women who had borne the brunt of alcohol abuse by the women led a mass movement to ban alcohol to break the cycle of abuse and poverty that had plagued families. This ban was celebrated as a victory and progressive step towards community, right? So what has happened? so at that point of time, they did achieve success. But after few years, in Chandrapur district, the liquor ban was lifted. But so the Gadchiroli and Wardha are the only districts where it is still banned. So prohibition. So there is a person called Dr. 𝐿𝐻𝐵𝐻, who is a Padma Bhushan, Maharashtra Bhushan awardee and Padma Shri. Right, so he was also part of the movement. He led the movement for which he was given Padma Shri, and he is also saying that prohibition is essential but not enough. Implementation and awareness is also required. Liquor is also associated with poverty and developmental issue. So when any question comes about poverty, development, women, so liquor can also be mentioned. That in 1988, the poor people were spending 20 crore on consuming alcohol, whereas the development fund was only 14 crores. So a lot of fund is going wasted, which could be used for their development, right? So use this case study. And one of the women played a pivotal role in this movement by forming Daru Bandi Samitis. So you can hail the example of these women who are trying so hard to change the society, right? But the problem is coming from the political class and the administration class, who for their own interest are not, letting this thing become successful. So a lot of support has to come from, the administration and the politicians, right? So you can use this case studies, the examples of Daru Bandi Samiti, this Gadchiroli district, that how in spite of ban, things were not so successful. Let's move to other article. Now, Prakash Parv is celebrated, right, on the birthday of Sri Guru Gobind Singh Ji, 6th January 2025. So please search about Sri Guru Gobind Singh Ji, as 6 gurus are included in art and culture of India, and questions can come about them. A very small prelims related information. So a census of birds is happening in Godavari estuary. We are not concerned with what census is happening. We are concerned with the names of 2 birds mentioned here, because UPSC mentions some scientific name and will ask what species are these, butterflies, birds, things like that, right? So remember this word, remember the names of these birds: great knot, calidris tenurostris, and Indian skimmer, Rhynchops abeliocollis. So Indian skimmer and great knot are names of birds, right? Let's move to the next topic. Now this is also a good example. Police to use drones to curb rooster fights in Andhra Pradesh, right? Now this topic of news can come under the syllabus of GS2 governance, where police is using technology, to implement the act and rules. So Andhra Pradesh police will use technology. This is a banned blood sport which has huge patronage in rural areas during the harvest festival. So AP High Court has banned it in 2016 in a bid to prevent cruelty to the birds. Police are conducting raids and all. So under which act it is banned? Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act 1960 and AP Gaming Act 1974. Right? So they are appealing the government to take measures to stop rooster, and government is trying their best. Let's move to the next article. So this article will just we'll just mention it because details are going to come about it. So deliberations on draft digital personal data protection rules must be open. So deliberations are going on the rules of data protection rules. This will come under GS2 government policies and intervention for digital sector. So what has happened? People who are new to UPSC preparation, they should know certain background. The draft digital personal data protection rules 2024. Why discussions are happening on this? Because fundamental right to informational privacy for Indians have been given by Supreme Court of India in the landmark case Puttaswamy versus Justice K.S. Puttaswamy versus Union of India. So the Digital Personal Data Protection Act was also brought by Government of India, and this question was also asked in, I think, 2018 mains question paper. So to implement that act, this draft rules are being discussed upon, right? And in which several things like Data Protection Board of India are the part of those rules. Let's move to the next article. So this article, India needs to prioritize preventive care. This comes under topic of our GS paper of 2 issues related to health sector, and it talks about non-communicable diseases. So what is happening here? since India is becoming prosperous, so life expectancy of Indians is supposed to increase, but it is decreasing because of the NCDs. What is NCDs? Non-communicable disease like heart disease, stroke, diabetes, cancer, which is leading to a lot of financial burden on middle and lower middle class. So non-communicable disease accounts for about 65% of all deaths in 2022. Okay, up from about 50% in 2010 and 13 as per the National Family Health Survey 5. Please quote the source of the data. 65% of all deaths in 2022. That's the severity, right? So in this context, we have to shift our focus from reactive treatment to proactive prevention. And very important data is mentioned. World Health Organization projects that economic burden of NCDs in India will surpass 280 lakh crore rupees by 2030, a cost which will be equivalent to 2 lakh rupees per household. This will lead this escalating cost will be driven by rising high healthcare expenses, productivity losses, threat to financial stability. So remember these two data: National Family Health Survey 5, which says 65% death in 2022 by NCDs, and WHO projection of cost, the financial cost that NCDs will have on us. Some three solutions are given here, which you can read by yourself. First is strengthening early intervention capabilities through Ayushman health and wellness centers. Second, we need to improve the adoption of screening at private centers by encouraging insurers and private health providers to offer a subsidized minimum screening program so that people know about their diseases in the first stage or in the initial stages. And finally, the increase in tax reduction limit can further incentivize people to complete comprehensive healthcare. People don't take comprehensive healthcare because they're expensive, right? Let's move to the two other articles. This is an important article. Okay, now this is a very interesting article about which articles have been coming in the last 10 to 15 days. Implications of China's mega dam project. So what is happening? This is about India and its neighborhood relation, and it particularly talks about geopolitics. How geopolitics? Because rivers are affecting the politics of the nations, right? So this is topping. So you can read about it in the gist. The Brahmaputra is a transboundary Himalayan river which is spanning 4 riparian countries. Who are these 4 riparian countries? China, the uppermost riparian, then Bhutan and India, and the last one is Bangladesh, which is lowest riparian country. China is the uppermost riparian country with the river system originating in Tibet Autonomous Region, where it is known as 𝐿𝑒𝐿, and they are planning the biggest mega hydropower project, which is, you can term this is an interesting word, China's hydrocracy, right? This is also an interesting word. So there is a face-off between China with they making 𝐿𝑒𝐿 Brahmaputra river course. China has announced biggest hydropower project at the Great Bend, while India has also announced its largest project at Upper Siang. So this kind of fight is going on between these two big powers. The dams across the Himalayas aims at territorializing river systems, breaking their natural life, and it will have bad effects on biodiversity and living communities around it, right? So some important points around it. I'll just mention some important keywords that, like they have mentioned, highly dramatized water wars as part of the geopolitical vocabulary. You can use it. And this upstream hydropower dams are also called water bombs by lower riparian nations. Like India will call it water bomb by China. They can do anything. Anytime they can release water, and our states will be flooded, right? China sits pretty at the top of Asia's water tower because lot of rivers are originating from Tibet, right? So one important point I just want to mention here. You can read this article. This is a good article. None of the riparian countries of the Brahmaputra river, these 4 countries, have signed the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Non-Navigational Uses of International Water Courses of 2014. And hence first user rights on river systems are non-enforceable, right? China and India have an expert level mechanism called ELM since 2006 to discuss outstanding issues and hydrological data, but they do not have a comprehensive bilateral treaty, right? You can read about this. You can read this article for overall knowledge, and gist is also giving quite good. And you can look at the map, right? India is starting here. This 𝐿𝐿𝙤𝙤 is taking a twist, coming in India. Here is Brahmaputra. It is traveling from here till India and is entering in Bangladesh, right? Let's move to other article. Now this article we have to see in very small gist because a lot of articles are again going to come because it is just a proposed project of union government and a lot of discussion will happen upon it. Empower the guardians of the earth, do not rob them. So who are these guardians? Indigenous communities, right? So this will come under GS paper 3, conservation challenges. So an unilateral decision to establish 3 wildlife sanctuaries in southern Nicobar will deprive the indigenous people like Champagnes and Nicobarese of their ancestral territories. This historically isolated indigents have relied on these islands, right? So 72,000 crore mega infrastructure project on Great Nicobar will now have an international cruise terminal and a shipbreaking yard as per the Union Shipping Ministry. And the writer is talking about the indigenous communities and their rights on the Andaman and Nicobar. So what are these 3 sanctuaries? Coral Sanctuary at Meroe Island, a megaport sanctuary at Menchel Island, and a leatherback turtle sanctuary on Little Nicobar Island. So you know, if the question comes, where is leatherback turtle? It is found in Nicobar, a Little Nicobar Island, right? And Champagne tribe, which is also PVTG tribes, they are mentioned here. So this much is enough in this article because it will come. It's an old article. Let's move to the next article. So this also I want you to know about it. Basic knowledge. Calcium intake exercise crucial for young adults to prevent osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is a disease of bones, right? So it is a prelims based information. It can also come as one of the NCDs, non-communicable disease in health sector. So adequate calcium intake, regular physical activity, avoiding smoking and excessive alcohol consumption are essential for preventing bone loss. So osteoporosis, what is osteoporosis? It's a condition where weakened bones significantly increase the risk of fractures, right? So how does it happen? When the balance between bone resorption and bone remodeling is disrupted, leading to decreased bone masses. So some medicines are also mentioned for osteoporosis: biphosphonates, which is the first line of treatment, right? And that's it. While bone forming agents are also given, biphosphonates and bone forming agents. That's enough for this article. And again, this also I want you to remember more from prelims point of view. 4-lane Banihal bypass opens in Jammu and Kashmir's Ramban. So this 2.35 kilometer stretch strategically located on NH44. You should know from where to where this NH44 lies. It will boost national security, logistics and tourism and travel time. So what is this NH44? Let me show you. NH44 is a major highway in India, the longest in the country. It stretches from Srinagar in the north to Kanyakumari in the south. And the government is trying to create a lot of all-weather roads in Kashmir by making a lot of tunnels. That much is sufficient. Now, this is a very, very important example that you can use. Government launches Panchayat se Parliament 2.0 for women. These are initiatives for women to empower the local government, right? So it comes under local government and center schemes for development of various sections. So our Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla will inaugurate Panchayat se Parliament 2.0, which seeks to give insight into the constitution and parliamentary procedures. The constitution kaisa hai, parliament kaise chalta hai, to over 500 women representatives from Panchayati Raj institutions across the country. This is done on the 150th birth anniversary of tribal icon Birsa Munda. Go and search about Birsa Munda. The question have come about him in 2020 prelims, right? And so a lot of workshops and sessions will be held. They will be visiting Parliament House, Pradhan Mantri Sangrahalaya and Rashtrapati Bhavan. Please mention this as an example where the government is making, it can come in the conclusion where government is trying to empower PRIs. Next article. Yeah, now it's the last article of the day, which is just, you don't have to read the entire article, only as an example. Again, what is happening around about the environment conservation in the world. Moving away from coal, South African court upholds cancel court case. So the court ruled the energy, so civil society organization claimed a landmark victory against fossil fuel power in South Africa, where the High Court in Pretoria turned down the national government's plan to add more coal-fired projects. to the country's power grid. According to the court, what the court said, the government's plan was inconsistent with the Constitution of Republic of South Africa and thus unlawful. So they stopped a lot of coal power plants because it was not good for their health. Let's come down. You can read about it in the gist also. South Africa has ratified Paris Agreement. That's why it is legally bound to cut its emission. And 2019 study concluded that children's physiology, anatomy and metabolism were negatively affected by the plant's emission. And children who lived near a coal-fired plant exhibited more asthma and respiratory related conditions, right? So this is the issues around coal-fired power plant. And this is now this photo you can see. What is this photo? A bushfire. Bushfire is happening in the Grampians National Park in Australia's Victoria State. So Australia has been suffering from this heat waves. Right now there is summers in Australia and winters here, right? In the northern hemisphere. In southern hemisphere there is summers, which is leading to a lot of heat waves, bushfires. Go and search the bushfires and heat waves that happens in India because it is one of the disaster issues. That's it for today. Thank you.